Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I will give 30 seconds as people jump in and then we will get started straight away. But how are you this morning, Jenny?
I'm very well, thank you, Kaylee. How are you?
Not too bad. Weather's not the best, but it's fine.
Yeah, the rain kept me awake a lot of the night, actually, lying there. I have a horse, so rain creates mud, which creates depression in the winter for horse owners.
Oh dear. We're a household that sleeps with like white noise on, so thankfully I don't generally
Wow.
hear the rain, thankfully. I always say it's good prep for when we have a baby, I'm sure, that we're used to sleeping with some white noise on. But there we go. I think that's everyone in, which is amazing. As I say, thank you all for joining us. In terms of today's session, as I say, we'll kick off in a moment. Everyone should be able to access the chat and pop anything in there if you want to, but we will also have time for Q&A at the end. So please do use the Q&A box specifically for that, just so that we can see those as we get to that portion. My name's Katie Graham. I'm the Head of Partnerships and Growth here at Telleroo, which is a bulk payments platform specifically designed for accountants and bookkeepers to streamline payments for their clients. And joined with us today, we have Jenny, who I will let introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Jenny Gillum. I'm co-founder of FreshPay, payroll software, which integrates with Telleroo. I also have an accountancy business as well, Redfish Accountancy in Sussex, where I employ 12 people. And we actually use Telleroo quite a lot in our accountancy practice as well. Don't tell Kaylee because she'll get big-headed, but it's one of my favorite softwares.
I heard nothing. But today we're going to talk all about the madness that is December payroll and how to prep early, how to avoid mistakes, and show you how to set everything up so that payments can literally run themselves, even if payday is on Christmas Day. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. The Christmas payroll reality. So, Jenny, from an accountancy perspective, what is it that makes December payroll so uniquely painful for bureaus?
Well, I'm basically it's normal payroll on fast forward. Everything compresses. You've got the bank holidays, client holidays, staff holidays, and but even most people's brain cells seem to go on holiday as well. Um, Most clients obviously want to pay early. Then you often have lots of bonus calculations and ad hoc payments. We have clients who have just decided they want to pay a net bonus to all their staff. So, you have to calculate all of that as well. And of course, you've got to do it all well before the 24th of December, generally. If you're on monthly pay, I mean, if you're on weekly pay, it's even worse because you basically can't have people off between Christmas and New Year. So it is time compression and the ever-old problem of getting the information, getting the right information from the clients, which is probably one of the biggest payroll challenges anyway.
Exactly that. I think looking at our like data of when things are scheduled for already, payday this year looks like everyone's going in for like the 19th of December, that Friday. So even earlier, right? But I guess where do you see the real bottlenecks in that process at this time of year?
Where do I see the real
Bottleneck.
bottlenecks?
Mm.
Well, because everyone does want to pay early, so that date of the 19th, you might have people who pay on the 19th anyway. You might have people who pay normally on the 25th, a lot of them who pay at the end of the month, and and basically you've got to move everyone into that three. But I always say December's one of our busiest months because we have to do everything still that we always do every month, but in 3 weeks. I would say most of our customers are shut between Christmas and New Year, but they still want the same service.
Yeah, that's
So
definitely.
I think that's the bottleneck is definitely trying to get everything done and scheduled for that date of the 19th, which is probably the most common date. You're right.
And just thinking about that timeline then of when things need to be finalised, if we were saying, for example, that things need to be paid on the 19th, taking Telleroo out of it for the moment, but actually how early before that point would payroll typically need to be finalised if clients were aiming for a 19th payday, for example?
Well, at least 3 days in advance. Because you've then got to well get their payment files out or get their payments on to the bank or get however. So I always try and allow 3 days for payments. If you use Bax, for example, Bax is a 3 day turnaround cycle, and you've still got to get it onto the system. You've got to make sure that the funds are in the bank to pay pay that early. So um, we've specifically asked our clients to provide information by the 8th of December, which for most of them sounds horribly early, but we've still got to process everything and get it all done for the 16th if they're paying on the 19th.
Yeah, absolutely. All not ideal, I think it's fair to say. So when you're then thinking about what you need to consider, I guess leading on from literally what you've just said, how do you communicate that to clients? What's the messaging around that? And how do you get them to understand, I guess, the wider challenge and not just see it as, well, why do I have to do this right now?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we tend to send out an email mid-November, mid to late November, and we say, obviously December's coming up. Do you want to pay early? So that we make a note of that, so we know who is paying early, so we've got the right date. We stress to them that, we tell them we're closed between Christmas and New Year. We're not officially closed, but obviously we're running on skeleton staff.
Yeah.
Um, and we just say to them, we're sorry, we know this is going to be early for you, but we have got everyone's payrolls to do.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, we're probably more flexible than maybe a bigger payroll bureau. And if we have a couple that go, well, we really can't get you that information by then, we'll go, okay, well, you can delay it for by a couple of days. So we then make sure everything's scheduled. But until everyone's come back to tell us when they want to pay, we can't say when we need to schedule the work in, I think, as well. Because we've got quite a lot of customers who want to pay on the 15th and 16th. So, we have to make sure obviously they're ready by the 12th, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, like you say, if you're not getting the information, if your deadline's the 8th, that's still only a few working days to turn things around.
Exactly. And the perennial problem, which is that they give you half the information and you have to still get more information, squeeze more
No.
information out of them.
Clients give you everything you need the first time you ask. Don't be silly. And on that point there about how you then schedule that work, what does that do to your December workload? I imagine that means that you are having to be pretty meticulous about what's scheduled when and how things get done.
Yeah, yeah. We actually still run payroll control on a Google sheet. So we have a specific Google sheet with all the steps in it, and we have tick boxes and highlights and things like that. So we make sure that we prioritize the bigger clients because we know they're going to be more complex. We know we will prioritize ones where we know they don't give us the information. So because we obviously do our clients every month, we know pretty much who's not going to give us the right information, who is, and I think everyone's probably in that boat. So we make sure that we go through the information as soon as it comes in to make sure that we've got, that I think the first step rather than processing payroll is to check what information we've got and make sure we've got everything. And then move on from there and prioritize, say, the more complex clients first. And the ones that are more static can be shoved at the back.
Makes complete sense. And I think the fact that you've got quite a rigid process around that, just in terms of what needs to be done, likely removes
Yeah.
some of that, the errors that can happen because of rushing, but also some of that anxiety that no doubt all of you guys have when you are in those high pressure situations of actually we've suddenly got to do everything, like you say, in half the time that we normally have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And payroll is so easy to get wrong. It's so easy to just you make one little mistake and it impacts people. It's a real people job, payroll, because everything you do it impacts somebody, you know, immensely.
100% is one of those things that on a, I guess, a wider kind of big picture note, there's lots of firms that we know that have used payroll as a bit of a loss leader typically. And actually, that's always been almost slightly baffling to me in that it's the one thing that has a real impact on people and real teams that actually I think business owners care a lot about making sure that that's right and that their teams are paid correctly. And so it's interesting that sometimes it's positioned that way instead of it being a real value
Yeah.
thing.
The other thing that I found really interesting, Kaylee, is a task that I did myself a few months ago. So I've always thought of payroll as a bit of a loss leader. And then a friend of mine, a fellow accountant, said, "Oh, payroll's really profitable for us, right? We actually make a lot of money out of it." And I was like, "Really?" And I went and I calculated it. I took out how much we charge for payroll and how much it costs us. And I took sort of obviously software costs and people costs into account. I'm like, actually, payroll's really profitable. I need to do more. We need to do more of this.
Yeah.
Um, but I think there was just this, especially because as well, funny enough, goes on from a conversation I just had with another accountant a few minutes ago. We do the payments. We
Yeah.
offer payments as a service to clients, and we make money out of that because we integrate obviously with Telleroo, and we pay you obviously the software cost, but it takes us a few seconds to transfer those payments from FreshPay to Telleroo, and we know they're correct. So we and the clients actually find that more of a valuable service. They love us doing the payment service, both payroll and suppliers, because it's really valuable to them because they don't want to, they know how easy it is to get a payment wrong if they're typing it in on the bank. Um, yeah, so you know, having that payroll payment service as an additional service just makes payroll really worthwhile doing.
Well, Jenny, if you ever need a third job, you can come and sell payroll to accountants for me instead, because that was great. But it's exactly that, right? That's a huge point that I make to people is that actually for those where payroll has been either non-profitable or it's kind of just about there, payments are a really great way of boosting that up, right? And like you say, clients definitely see
Definitely.
the value in it. So it's a
Yeah.
lovely one from that perspective. But Jenny's basically said all of this already, but this is exactly where FreshPay and Telleroo come into this together, right? The whole point here is that FreshPay provides the system for teams to finalize payroll early with confidence, know that data is accurate, that there's clear audit trails, everything's approved, there's no last minute manual things being changed and going wrong. And then we're able to come in and take over on the payment side. We can take that
Mm,
information directly from FreshPay into Telleroo, so you haven't got any manually keying things in, worrying if things have got right, having to get someone to stand over your shoulder and make sure the numbers match up. We do all the checks that need to happen on our place, on
mm.
our side, and then clients have the joy of going in, pressing one button, and everyone gets paid when they need to. And it really is as simple as that, I promise.
It
But
genuinely is.
I'm going to pass over to Jenny to give you a little bit of a run through of what that looks like on the FreshPay side, and then I will show you what that looks like when it lands in Telleroo.
Cool.
Stop
Okay.
share.
So,
You're good.
uh, this is our pay run dashboard for our company A Star is Born. Just so to give you an overview, because otherwise it'll just look quite confusing. This one has two separate monthly payrolls, one paid on the 15th of the month and one paid on the 25th, and also has a CIS run. So I'm just going to finalize November quickly because I just reopened them all on a demo I was doing. So this is our December payroll. In terms of making amendments, we have so as I say, we've got customers that will pay like, I don't know, £100 Christmas bonus to everyone. So we would set that up in our company templates, our additions and deductions as a Christmas bonus. Oh, I've got it as £50 here. So I'm just going to change that to £100. And then adding that to everyone is really, really easy because I can go into bulk edit and I can scroll over to my Christmas bonus. And oh, that one's already been amended, so that's why it's a different amount. But you literally just can go down and add everyone, and you can change it if you want to as well, and then save it. So you've got then everyone's bonuses amended in seconds. If they've all got the same bonus, you could set up different templates for different bonuses. This just takes a couple of minutes. I've made a few changes. And then with FreshPay, when you're ready to finalize your pay run, you can either lock it for approval and send it to the employer for approval, or once it's approved, you can actually just confirm and proceed. So this one has got a pay date of the 18th of December. You can amend your pay dates for any current and future pay runs as well. We do that quite a lot because obviously clients change their pay date. And then when it's done, you can send it to this one's integrated with QuickBooks, so sending it to your accounting software is really easy. And then we've got a send to Telleroo button, and we just choose the customer and the account and the payment date. I'd put in a salary reference, and then I'd probably put December payroll. And you choose all your employees. Now, this one won't go over to Telleroo in total because I've got quite a few without bank accounts set up. So I wouldn't be able to send those ones. You have to make sure the bank details are in there. And then you just press send, and those payments go through to Telleroo for either you or your clients to approve and fund for dated on the 18th of December.
How simple was
I
that?
feel like I feel like I've missed something because it's so simple, but it genuinely is that simple.
I find that
Um,
sometimes you get on a demo and you show someone and they go, "Is that it?" And you go, "Yeah, but like in a good way."
I know, and I think you're going to show how it then works in Telleroo, aren't you?
Absolutely. So on our side, this is partner portal. So this is what you'd be met with. I go in, choose which client I want on this side, and then what will have come through is something that looks like this. So you can see here, it's pulled through all of my information effectively, all my payees, bank details. We're doing all the checks that you would expect to see. So these ones are showing full matches, partial matches, no matches, which is that confirmation of payee check you've likely seen in your own bank or in clients' banks where it does a check against the name and the account and says, yep, this is correct, or no, this isn't, and here's what it is. So all of that information's there. We're flagging when payees are new. So if you've had new employees, these are all going to flag up as new, like you can see here. But we also flag updated. So if since last payday someone's gone in and changed bank details, when that comes through to us, we're going to pick that up and say, hey, this has been updated. You can then see a bit of a status bar along the top of what's happening. So when it first comes in, it will come into awaiting approval. And at that point, it will have hit the client for approval. So they'll get an email notification, but we've also got a mobile app. So they get a mobile app notification that says payroll's ready for you to approve. They log in, they see all of this information. They can go, yeah, we're happy with that and approve it. But if for any reason they weren't happy with one of them, they can cancel those individual payments as well. So they've still got full control over what gets paid. And ultimately, once they've said, yeah, we're happy, it moves to being scheduled for whatever date and time you've chosen, and it will sit there until that point. And the only other thing the client needs to do is effectively transfer the net pay amount into their Telleroo account. And they can do that in a number of ways. They have their account details within their Telleroo account, and they can do a bank transfer just like normal from their account into their Telleroo account. They can also have a standing order set up. So if payroll is roughly the same amount each month, we've got lots of clients that just transfer a flat amount and will just hold a balance in their account. Or we've got a button in platform that says add funds, and this shows on the desktop and the mobile app. It will ask who they bank with. They can say how much they want to pop in, initiate that payment, and then it will give them the option to either scan a QR code on their mobile banking and approve it there, or they can use the desktop login, log in and approve the payment there. And in which case, we've obviously pre-filled all of the details with their account, the amount, and all of that
So
good
to
stuff.
say I've never actually used that feature, but what a great feature.
You're missing out.
I
It's
know.
really good. I love it in the mobile app version because it obviously just
Yeah.
opens your banking app straight there for you to literally hit approve. So it's
Mm.
lovely, lovely for that, but really nice for those directors that are going to be off on holiday and laying on beaches or just enjoying time with family, that actually they can just get a ping on their phone that goes, payroll's ready to approve. They go, yeah, done. And they can sleep comfortably knowing that Santa is delivering payroll to all of their employees. Um, and then from that perspective, everything comes through. As I say, it will go along that status bar, it will land in paid. So both you and they would be able to see that on there and everyone is happy. And again, a bit like Jenny said, it almost feels like I've missed something because it really is that simple. But let me come out of that one for a moment and just jump back in here. Again, if anyone has any questions, please do pop them in that Q&A and we will absolutely have a chance to answer those in a moment. Let me just reshare this screen. So, thinking practical tips then for Christmas payroll. I'm going to run through these and then Jenny, I'm going to ask you if people only did one thing this December, what would it be? But checklist here is getting that client information in earlier. Like Jenny said, they're asking for that from clients by the 8th, which was yesterday. There we go. So nice and getting that in nice and
I
soon.
bet we haven't got it all.
That would be too good, but I'm sure you've got lots of it. Confirm bonuses in advance, and then, as you saw, nice and easy to pop those into FreshPay as well. Making sure that that payroll is then finalised earlier. Use those approval flows. Make sure that you've got clear consent from clients on what needs to be done when. Schedule those payments in instead of you doing things manually. No one wants to be sat there on payday late into December having to manually key things in. And that stands for you and also the clients. That's the last thing they want to be doing as well, right? And then make sure you've got staffing cover and handovers in place. If you have got your own team off, make sure you know who and when and what work's getting done so that you're not dropping the ball on any of that stuff. Because as Jenny said, clients do see the benefit in payroll, it can be really profitable. You just need to make sure that you're getting these nice and done.
Yeah, there was a couple of things there that I didn't mention again in FreshPay. So bonuses, I mentioned about net bonuses. So she had a client who emailed yesterday and said, "Oh, we're going to be paying these net bonuses to, but giving you plenty of time because we know how complicated it'll be to do those calculations." Well, it is complicated unless, of course, you're using a system that allows you to do a net to gross bonus, a gross to net bonus. So we can do that, obviously in FreshPay. That would need to be on an individual basis, though, not on the bulk edit, unfortunately. And also the scheduling of running payroll. So one of the things that FreshPay does that we really wanted to introduce was once you finalize payroll, on payday, everything just happens. So if you've connected with a pension, the pensions get sent, the FPS gets sent, pay slips get sent, reports to the employers get sent. They can go, those pay slips and reports can go in advance of payday as well if you want to. Um, you just schedule that yourself in the system. And basically everything happens so you can finalize payroll for the 25th of December, and it works.
And I think that's the key, isn't it? It just works.
Yeah. One of the other little tips as well, I just wanted to say, because this was something I didn't know about for a long time, was HMRC actually nowadays accept that people have a different pay date in December, which can affect people who are on universal credit or benefits, for example, because they might have a different pay date, which can really affect their universal credits. So HMRC have said that you can actually keep the pay date and do the reporting on the normal pay date as opposed to the earlier one. And report on that later one as well, if you want to do that. HMRC don't mind you doing that for 1 month of the year.
That's good because
Yeah,
yeah, I definitely have heard of that where people's benefits are based on weekly periods and that yeah,
yeah.
getting paid early, like you say, throws that off. So
Mm.
that's really good. I wasn't aware of that, so thank you very much.
I,
Um,
I remember. I remembered. I just thought I'd mention it because obviously it's something that does come up this time of year, and HMRC have said they don't mind that. So don't worry if you do that.
How kind of them to think so practically of us all.
I know it's very
Uh,
unusual.
so, if people only did one thing, if they take one thing away from this, what should it be?
Um, genuinely, if you don't use Telleroo and don't do a payment service for your clients, look at doing that because it makes their lives easier and it makes your life easier and more profitable. And I am not saying that because I'm on with Telleroo. I say that to people all the time, with my, accountancy practice head on. It's it makes a huge difference both to the employees and the employers and to you as a practice.
Definitely, definitely. I am biased, but definitely. Perfect. So, before I go through these bits, I am just going to launch a quick poll for everyone, which is really just to understand what you would like next from us. Hopefully, that has launched for you, which is just what you need next. Nothing we're all set, and then it's going to give you the options to pop those. Oh,
Hmm,
I've just kicked.
nice.
Oh, whoopsie. Where's that gone? Okay. I'll relaunch that in a second. That's fine. In the meantime, let me go through these while I figure out how to get that one back up. But three big takeaways there. So prep payroll early. Can't speak this morning. Early with FreshPay is exactly what we want to see in there. The other thing is schedule payments for any day within Telleroo. I always say Telleroo runs 365 days a year, 24/7. You can literally schedule payments for whenever you want. And that does mean you can enjoy Christmas without those manual 7 a.m. payment pushes. And as much as people go, surely people aren't paying on Christmas Day, I can assure you they are. It's a
Wow.
bit like when people say no one submits tax returns on Christmas Day, and then HMRC come out and tell us how many were submitted on Christmas Day.
Mm.
It does happen, and so that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. Um,
Especially in our multicultural society now, because a lot of people don't celebrate Christmas,
yep,
so yeah, just
exactly
because,
that. Even our entire Telleroo team, we've got, like you say, a bunch of different cultures, and not everyone does celebrate Christmas. And
yeah.
so for us, although we kind of give the team time off over over Christmas, we kind of say the festive period as such, and it is a chance to step back. But it's
Yeah.
exactly that. Even if your team aren't celebrating Christmas, for a lot of businesses, there is a period of wind down and reset ready for the new year. And so
Hmm.
either way, taking that stress away, making sure people are getting paid on time, that they've got the funds to sit and enjoy time with families and do all the things that they want to do would be amazing. I have since figured out how to relaunch my poll, so this is good. There we go. Hopefully that's up for everyone. Just giving you an option there of what you'd like to do. Nothing rule set. Want to set up demos with either of us? Want to set up demos with both? Or something else? In which case you're free to message us in the chat or contact us directly on LinkedIn, email, you name it. But Jenny, any parting thoughts from you?
Just good luck, everyone, really. Getting it all done. We all know it's such a stressful time of year, and having December compressed into that 3 weeks does make it more stressful. And payroll's always quite stressful anyway, because it's a big responsibility getting people's pay right. So yeah, good luck, everyone, and remember to breathe, I would say.
Yeah, a couple of questions for you then. One is, what's next for FreshPay? What can we look forward to in 2026?
We are going to be integrating with Free Agent shortly,
Amazing.
and we're going to be expanding our holiday pay. We're going to be making sure there's much more of an interactive employee and employer portals, bit of
Okay.
interactive on the holiday pay. We've got so many things that we want to do. We think, oh, we've built the system, but it's never ending because there's so many. We always want to improve. We really want to be the best payroll solution for bureaus and accountants. And we listen to all the feedback that we get. In fact, I did a demo this morning, and somebody came up with a suggestion. I was like, oh, I'm going to add that to our list, which just gets longer and longer. So there's a lot coming up still. And yeah, it's exciting, actually, really exciting.
Amazing. Got a question from someone on here asking how CIS payroll is managed by FreshPay.
Yeah, we have CIS, both the subcontractor and the contractor flow. So we'll just go and have a look. Really simple. So if you have your CIS suffered, you literally can just put the amount in there for the month and send your EPS. If you have contractor, subcontractor CIS, you set up all your contractors in here. You can verify them online with HMRC or manually verify them or not have them verified. When you go in, you can see all of their details and all of the invoices that you've put in the system. And you can have a subcontractor user as well, so they automatically get sent their deduction statements. And if you send payslips as well. And we will be building, actually, that's something we are building in the new year, subcontractor portal, so that they can actually log in like employees can as well. And then when you've got your CIS, you just go in to your monthly CIS, you add your invoices, choose your subcontractor. Um, if your subcontractor is VAT registered, it will give you the option of whether the invoice is 0% VAT or 20% VAT. If they're not VAT registered, it won't give you that option. It just won't do 0% VAT. And you put in your details, and it will give you your net, your VAT, your gross, and the CIS deducted. So you can double check that against their invoice because shockingly, occasionally they might get it wrong. Um, and then when you're ready to do your CIS return, you can download it here, view it and download it here, exactly as your customer would expect to see it. And then when you're ready to submit it, you just submit it there. You can suspend it, and it will go over tax years. So if you suspended it for the regulation 6 months in December, January, February, March, April, May. In June, you would see that you would need to start submitting your CIS again. That was something that came up actually when we were building it. People were saying, well, we completely forgot that 6 months had finished and we didn't, and then we got fined for not submitting our CIS. But again, in the system, you can see it really easily when it's when when the tax year is when the suspension is finished. Yeah, so That's CIS. Hope that's answered your question.
Amazing. And last question from me is we speak to obviously lots of people that are thinking about moving payroll systems, etc., and a lot are wanting to kind of hang on until new tax year, which kind of makes sense. But what tips would you have for firms as to when to start looking and how to approach that process of moving?
Well, I'd like to think you'd be looking now, to be honest, to be moving. There's a lot to think about when you're transferring payrolls. Um, I also wouldn't suggest that you'd leave everything until the new tax year because you're going to have a whole load of changes and everyone's changing. So, certainly, even if you just move a handful of your clients over, get used to the new software, spend time training on the new software because every software is different. And I think that's where a lot of implementation can often fail is when people don't take the time to really learn the new software and then they go, oh, it doesn't do this. And well, it might do it, just not be really obvious where it is because it's different to what you're used to.
Yeah,
Um, if I can do a little sales pitch here,
of course.
I don't like doing so. I'm not really a salesperson. I'm an accountant, for goodness sake. But we do currently have an offer. So we have a couple of things. First of all, we do a migration service, a paid for migration service. So if you're going, I can't do this, I cannot migrate all of my clients, all of their data, and start learning a new software and do the rest of my work as well, you can pay us to do your migration. So you send us your information and we will get everything set up in FreshPay for you. Um, the other thing that we are offering at the moment is if you've paid an annual contract to your current payroll software provider, we will effectively buy you out of that contract if you move over to us in January. If you move all your clients to us in January, we will give you a credit for each month for the remaining of your contract. So if you've paid, as a nice round example, £1,200 for the year, each month in January, February, March, we would give you £100 credit against your FreshPay subscription to make up for that contract buyout. So even if you've paid for a year, you're not going to be paying twice if you move over to us earlier.
I think
That's
that's
my sales pitch.
amazing, amazing offer if I do say so myself. But a huge thank you, Jenny. That was super, super useful. Lots of tips and tricks in there, and I think lots of value for everyone on here. We've got the results, so anyone that's asked for demos, we will reach out to you and arrange those with you. But any questions, again, feel free to reach out to us on live chat on the Telleroo side, reach out via LinkedIn with me and Jenny. Always happy to have a chat, completely non-committal, and just see is there anything we can do to help streamline your processes and add a bit of value for you and your clients so that you can all enjoy the festive period. Have seen a request in there for a demo link, so I'll get that over to you as well. But without anything else, thank you very much to everyone for joining us. Jenny, huge thank you to you. Take
Thank you.
care and enjoy the festive period.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye.